The Snicker. I don't know where the Snickers are. How does bring that
Here.
down? Oh, the Snickers. Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's department budget hearing. Tonight, we will have three presentations: the Office of the Mayor, Office of the Chief Operating Officer, and Corporate Counsel. My name is Councilman Amilcar Hernandez. I am Chair of the Operations, Management, Budget, and Government Accountability Committee. This meeting is broadcasting live on HPA-TV's Xfinity Government Channel 96 and Frontier Government Channel 6032. It will also be streamed via HPA-TV.org, the HPA-TV Facebook page, and HPA-TV Apple TV, Amazon TV, and Roku TV apps. It will also be made available on the HPA-TV YouTube channel. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues present here today. To my right, I have Council President Shirley Surgeon, System Majority Leader TJ Clark, Councilwoman Molly Rosado, and to my left, I have Councilman Josh Micton.
Anybody on the screen? I don't see anything.
I'm not seeing. I would like to, for the first presentation, I would like to introduce the Chief of Staff, James Wolf, from the Office of the Mayor. James, the floor is yours, and please introduce the leadership team alongside yourself tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To my left is Melinda Johnson, the Director of the Office of Community Engagement, and we also have Christian Corza, our Deputy Chief of Staff. I just wanted to start off by thanking you all for everything you do in partnership with our office. It's an honor for me to be able to serve this city, this administration, to be able to work with you. I think about the mentors and friends that have come before me in this position, Thea Montanez and Dave Stuber and John Bazzano and Juan Figueroa. And it's not lost on me the gravity of the role in sitting here before you today. And it's just an honor and privilege to be here with you all and to give you this very brief presentation we have tonight about the mayor's budget. So, as you all know, the mayor's office is responsible for developing and directing the execution of the mayor's vision and key initiatives. So maintaining the city's fiscal strength, working to promote development around the city, increasing quality of life, ensuring neighborhood safety, and then working with other branches of government to pursue policies that will benefit the city of Hartford. On our next slide, we have our org chart. I will note that since last year, we filled our research and communications assistant position with Christina Walters, and we have two vacancies here, the special assistant to the mayor and the executive assistant, which we plan to fill in the coming weeks. In the Office of Community Engagement, we have Melinda Johnson, supported by Andreen Bent-Campbell and Alessandra Balestas, and our 311 operators. And 5 of those positions, including Andreen and the 311 operators below her, are housed within the Office of the Chief Operating Officer.
Can you make sure the microphone is a little closer?
Yes. Is this better?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on to the 2025 highlights. So the mayor was here giving his state of the city, so I won't go into too much detail on these, but we have 3 major things that we're focused on: investing in safer, stronger neighborhoods. We have the $5 million that's being invested through the neighborhood investment funds along key commercial corridors. And we have reinstated foot patrols here in the city to build relationships and trust between HPD and the residents of our neighborhoods. We're putting children first by, we put 5 new members on the Board of Education. The mayor stood up his Blue Ribbon Commission on Education that brought together funders, state legislators, members of council, nonprofit leaders, parents, to talk about the challenges that we're facing in Hartford schools and how we can solve some of those challenges. And then to further support children, we also had over 1,000 children participate in night gyms last summer, which is something that we're looking forward to doing again this year. And then finally, fighting for affordability for our residents. So, this budget includes no tax increases for residents, which was, as you have probably heard, very difficult to come to that. that outcome. Many of our neighboring municipalities have raised their mill rates. It was a tough tax year, and so kudos to Julian and his team in the budget office for working with us to deliver a balanced budget with no tax increases. And then, we have we're looking to make $6.5 million investments in housing that will lead to home ownership. And part of that will be we're funding the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act pilot program with the state of Connecticut that the mayor recently announced with Governor Lamont that will further home ownership. And we're leveraging $2 million in state funding in addition to the $6.5 million that the city is putting up. Now we will move over to Melinda Johnson to touch on the highlights from the Office of Community Engagement.
Thank you, James. Good evening. It is a pleasure to be with you all this year. I want to share with you in way of highlights also some of my experiences that I've had thus far as the newly appointed Director for Community Engagement with the City of Hartford. I have learned that this particular office functions very much so as the ear to the Office of the Mayor. And so when you look at these statistics, I want you to also understand and consider that this is over the snapshot as far as financial supports that we've been able to administer to residents is a snapshot only from the first quarter of this year. That is not a total synopsis of all of 2024 into 2025. But in addition to coordinating things like the mayor's community office hours, which rotates him throughout Hartford in all 13 neighborhoods, and is essentially the opportunity for residents that have been reaching out to connect with him in their space. It's something that we have been recently taking on as a monthly action. The most recent one that was conducted at Head Over Berries in the Blue Hills neighborhood, and it was a great success, and that was my first opportunity in leading that initiative. So approximately $34,000 have been administered regarding urgent supports from our office, and this is in partnership with Operation Fuel, the Hartford Larrabee Fund Association, United Way's Rapid Release Funds, bus passes as sponsored by Emmanuel Lutheran Church, and municipal IDs. Additionally, the holiday toy drive was a continued success. We were able to distribute 50 bikes and helmets and distributed over 500 toys to local residents. Partnership is the stakeholder of this particular part of the Office of the Mayor, in that without partnership, a lot of this work is not possible. So I was excited to come in and to be met with open arms by the Amistad Center that was conducting and wanted to conduct a breakfast in recognition of Ramadan, the ending of Ramadan, so not a breakfast traditional sense, but a break fast. So it took place in the evening, and they sought us for that partnership. Finally, we have executed thus far 2 out of 4 police chief listening sessions took place within the first quarter. And when we look at our resident engagement over our media platforms, our newsletter subscriptions has risen from approximately 8,000 to approximately 10,000 newsletter subscribers. It is now a bi-weekly publication entitled In the Know, and it allows residents to not only know what our mayor is up to, what the city is up to in partnerships and major activities, but when community members and organizations send their information in, that is also disseminated through this outlet. Additionally, we have 6,800 Facebook followers and 1,000 Instagram followers that we reach every time we put a post out there.
Okay, thank you, Melinda. We'll now move on to the budget comparison. So as you can see, there's a $51,000 increase over the past year due to wage increases. And then in our last slide, we have our staff composition, which I won't read through all of it, but it has been provided to you in your decks as well. And with that, we will wrap up our presentation and would love to take your questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all for your presentation. Council President was extremely excited for this presentation. So I'm going to give her the honors to kick us off for this round of questions. So, Council President, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the reason why I'm so excited is we don't get a chance to sit like this with the mayor's office. We normally will call you each individual, and talk to you about our issues and concerns. So this is a great partnership when our community actually, believe it or not, watch HPA-TV. And they see this and say, okay, so we do have separation, of council in the mayor's office. So, because we do get, unfortunately, one of the things they'll say is, well, you don't talk to the mayor's office, you don't see us. But we do this in such an individual basis on our issue that we don't come together like this. So this is a great opportunity to partnership with you and to go over the budget, which is our principal decision for the fiscal year, and to just also ask about issues that we are looking forward to in the upcoming 26-27 budget. So starting on your first page, one of the things, we have talked about individually, some of the council members and myself have approached the mayor and your office, as our equipment from Public Works, everything else is, needs, several years old. How are we going to replace a lot of this? Over the last several decades, one of the things we talked to the mayor's office on, if you can talk about how we could incorporate bonding and what we have to go through, so that will help us, with a lot of our street fixtures, would help us with, equipment, because we pay for our equipment through our revenues, that we make every year. So this would be something to have a start of the fiscal year with that conversation.
Yeah, it's, we have been paying for capital improvements in our vehicles through PAYGO for so long now. And I think we're past the breaking point, and Chris Hayes will tell you that we are operating with equipment that is pushing the bounds of what's reasonable for keeping up-to-date equipment. So we are taking a look at potentially going out to bond in the upcoming year to help purchase vehicles and bring our fleet back up to the level that it should be. And so that's one of the things that we are considering for this budget.
Oh, that's really great to hear, because as we drive our streets, really could use a little bit of help. And I did thank the director of replacing some more street signs. So that was really lovely to see. That was a great accomplishment in this fiscal year. Now, there's 2 vacant positions in your office. If I was a person graduated from college, I would love to come and work for the mayor's office. Is it difficult?
We would love to have you.
I would have loved to. So why is it so difficult? You got 2. I got a lot of kids are graduating from college.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues. There are a lot of people graduating from college, and they're graduating from college right around now or the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. We're waiting on some recent graduates to potentially come and help us out in the mayor's office.
Great to hear. So that means I can't swipe a position out of your budget then?
Please don't.
Oh. All right. So moving on, why is your part-time or your position that housed in the community engagement, why is that housed in the chief operating office and not within your budget?
This is a legacy means of budgeting that has been carried over from the past administration.
Are you planning on changing it in the future? Or are you just going to just keep it as is? Because does it show a true budget for the Office of Community Engagement?
Does it show, well, it's
Because all you have in your budget is for the director I don't see for the community engagement manager or the community liaison, and, right? Am I mistaken in saying that?
That's correct. Yep. So the director and the community liaison are in the mayor's office, and the community engagement manager and the 311 operators are in the chief operating officer's budget. And again, that was done in prior administrations, and my understanding behind the decision was that the 311 call center and the supervision over that was moved to the chief operating officer's office. It's something that we can certainly take a look at in the future. It was one of those things where if it's not broke, don't fix it.
I mean, I look at all the great highlights that you have in the highlights that you have accomplished. And one of the things I didn't see in here that was in the mayor's State of the City address, and which was something which is lots of the council members here would have loved to see get initiated as soon as possible, is the renter's rental program, as the mayor would like to see, in the upcoming fiscal year to address. And so I was hoping you guys would have that as something you want to accomplish in 26-27 budget.
Absolutely. The renter's insurance program?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. It's something we look forward to tackling after this budget process, and look forward to, robust council input on making that work.
And I know he's looking at me. I'm only allowed 2 questions, but can I just have one more question and I'll shut up? I need to combine I'm going to combine all my questions in one. Okay, so combination of questions. I love the concept of the $2 million working with the governor on the home ownership program, something I'm looking forward to. And that was just announced, I believe, the beginning or last month.
Yes. Yes.
And I'd love to find out when that's going to be initiated. I did call the Development Service Department to find out who's going to initiate it, because I've got 2 small developers who are doing home ownership development, because as you and I both know, the cost of renovation instead of building new is better, and don't know when this program is going to get started.
So we are the DOH is going to be overseeing that program. They're going to be working with a couple of community development financial institutions, CDFIs, that have been identified, and they're working on putting together the programmatically what that will look like, and we're looking forward to potentially rolling that out and getting more information this summer or into the fall about what that might look like. And then, it's a really exciting program. It's based off of the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act, which is a bill that was actually just reintroduced by Congressman Larson in this Congress. It's got strong bipartisan support, and to be able to put together a pilot program here in the city of Hartford in partnership with the state is really exciting. Because it can provide momentum when we're talking to other mayors across the city and to our congressmen about how this works here in the city of Hartford, and we can be a real leader on that policy.
Just a comment, Mr. Chair. Just want to say, I want to thank the mayor regarding the Neighborhood Investment Initiative. That was one of the greatest programs that I've seen in decades, in economic development in each neighborhood. I think it was very well received. The only problem is that we wish we had more money, because there are too many people who are now applying for it to get small businesses up and starting. So, I would love to lobby for an increase, when we run through this pot of money, because as I said, there's a lot of small business who are anticipating and waiting. So it's, great benefit to the neighborhood.
Well,
so thank you for that.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just to respond, Councilwoman, I think it's a great point. It's not enough money, but it's a start. And if we can prove that this is an effective means of economic development in these neighborhoods, we can get DECD or potentially, other agencies to take a look at this and maybe make investments in similar programs, and again, lead the way for, the state.
Well, we have 5 people in Upper Albany, on Albany Avenue, and I don't know, we don't have enough to spend. Don't have enough. The $1 million is already gone.
Yes.
So we certainly can show DECD and anyone else how those programs are initiated in the neighborhood. So thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I failed to recognize our magnificent town clerk, Eric Lusa, who's here with us tonight. And now we're being joined by also by Councilwoman Biladu. Next question or next statement, Assistant Majority Leader Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Chief of Staff.
Good evening.
Thank you for your presentation. Regarding the neighborhood investment for the $5 million, having looking over the streets, 2 streets stick out to me that are not included, and just wanted to know if there be some consideration of including them, which is Blue Hills Avenue and Farmington Avenue.
Yeah, that's a great question. At this point, as the council president mentioned, we are limited with funds, and the decision was made by the mayor's office to focus on these 4 commercial corridors. However, we really do think that this is a blueprint for expanding this program. We do believe that, basing this off of the success of Heartlift, we can build some momentum here and hopefully expand this to other key commercial corridors like Blue Hills and Farmington.
So what's your time frame as looking at reviewing I would say the wins and successes for that?
For the wins, well, we are going through the pre-application process is happening right now, and then it's probably going to take to get through the process. It'll probably be around a year. So maybe this time next year, when I come before you, we'll have some projects in the pipeline that have been selected, and we'll have some early indications as to whether things are working or not, and seeing some of these investments being actually built out and made.
I'm glad to see that I saw 1,000 kids served for the night gyms. Is it anticipated to continue that for this year?
Yes, absolutely. Brian Gallagher from Sports and Rec is leading the charge on that, but this administration is absolutely committed to continuing that. We hear from folks a lot, as you all do, and one of the things that we picked up on quickly was that was one of the most popular things that we have done, and the most impactful things for our community.
And one final question regarding homeowners investment regarding first-time home buyers. That program that was announced by the governor again starts when, and who actually can qualify, and when can they sign up?
So all the programmatic pieces are being filled out, are being worked on currently, but the idea is that individuals up to 120% of AMI will be eligible for the program. And the program provides gap financing for renovating or building new homes.
So you said up to 120% AMI?
Yes.
And what's the last part?
And it provides gap financing for the renovation of existing homes or the building of new homes. So closing that appraisal gap.
Okay. And that application will be housed on DDS's website?
That will be a DOH-run program, so the State Department of Housing.
Or go to the State Department of Housing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
So it's a state program. There was $4 million earmarked for the city of Hartford specifically, and there's another, I believe I can get the details for you. I believe it's $1 million for the rest of the state. So it's primarily a pilot here in the city of Hartford.
And those funds are accessible until they run out or they're re-upped?
It's going to be, it's a pilot program, so it's one-time funding. But if it's successful, the idea is that rather than grant funding, which is how this program is structured, developers or homeowners could use a tax credit. And that's what the federal legislation is built as. When we were in talks with the governor's office, initially we were talking about trying to roll out a tax credit program here in the state and passing legislation. And the DOH and the governor's office came back to the city and said, well, why don't we just try a pilot with grant funding, and rather than, go through the process of passing legislation and having to tweak it, we can get a pilot rolled out as soon as possible to see how it works, and then, learn from that and potentially build a program in the future.
Thank you. Just a clarifying question. The 120% AMI, is that based on the appraiser's value assessment?
No, it's area median income. So the individuals that can qualify for the program.
So that's set within the contract. That's not based upon the appraiser when they go appraise their property?
No, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you,
And,
Mr. Chair.
and programmatic details, when they are available, will be shared with everyone.
All right.
And I would imagine there will be follow-up announcements when the program is opened up and applications are available.
And I'm assuming it's first come, first serve.
I'm not sure how the DOH is going to roll it out, but if you have suggestions, we'd be happy to hear them and take them to DOH, because it really is being built as we speak.
Okay. And another follow-up question. I'm sorry. See, you keep on having me do follow-up questions. Is within this legislative session, is there any additional monies that are going to be appropriated? Is there a bill that's possibly in the Housing Committee or being debated now?
For this program?
Yeah.
There are not. No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Thank you. I'm done. Okay. I hear the chatter. I hear it. You Shirley started it, so.
Okay. Yeah. All
Thank
right.
you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Councilwoman Biladu.
TJ asked all my questions, so I'm all set. But thank you for your presentation, and thank you to the entire team for all the good work you do.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
I have a feeling that Molly's going to say the same thing. Councilwoman Rosado.
Thank you. Yes, she did. She took my question. But anyways, I'm excited with this administration. And Melinda, as I was telling you back there, I am so excited and happy with your newsletter. I wait for the next one to come out. With Shannon, I just love it that we now have a marketing person, because I get to refer that person to her. So congratulations. I have no questions, but looking forward to what we're going to do coming up. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Councilman Mitchum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Wolf and team, for the presentation. Just a quick follow-up on that. I know you said there'll be more details, and we're all getting into the weeds, but the area median income, what's the area, if you know? Because that makes a big difference, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. In my understanding is it's the Hartford region.
Oh, so like including the suburbs?
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's a commonly used.
Right, I'm not criticizing, I'm just trying
Yep,
to
no.
comprehend what we're talking about. But along those lines, and again, I know you said you're figuring out the renter's insurance thing, so maybe you don't know this yet, but what would be the whole cost? Like, you're trying to get tenants to get renter's insurance. That's the idea of this program. What kind of investment would it take to just get the renter's insurance for the tenants? Do you have any sense of that?
I don't yet, no. It's a question of, I think there are different ways to do it. I mean, you can have a public option, or you could partner with various insurance companies to to work with them to offer a certain product and work with the city to communicate to individuals about how to get a renter's insurance product out to folks. So there are different ways to do it, and I think we're open to exploring all of those options.
Yeah, I guess I would be, given the economic realities of renters in the city, I would love to know what options there are to subsidize it one way or another, either through some sort of bulk purchase or, I mean, I'm way out of my depth here, but for the future, I say.
As am I, but we can get some actuaries and some insurance folks in to take a look at that. And yes, I think finding a way to communicate the value of renter's insurance, but also finding a way to provide a product to folks that isn't going to give them sticker shock, as we're seeing, you know, inflation increasing and folks struggling out there.
Great. So I'm sure we'll hear more in the future on that point. Relatedly, talking about renters, and I asked this to Director Rothschild when she was here, but I'm asking you sort of, you standing here in place of the mayor as the boss of her and everybody. You know, during the whole to-do with the Sherbrooke tenants and their displacement, I know you were like the point person for the mayor. I was calling you a lot, so I'm trusting you'll have information on this. We had the issue of them the city sending people to these flea bag motels, and now we're still sending them to the same motels post all of that mess. And can we do something to fix that? Can we stop sending them to lousy motels?
I think what I can commit to you, Councilman Nickdom, is that we want to take a hard look at our relocation policies, you know, after this process, and work with Counsel to come up with an up-to-date relocation, work with Corporation Counsel to come up with a relocation policy that works for everyone and that recognizes some of the challenges in response to some of the challenges that we went through, you know, over the past year. And so we're in addition to the renter's insurance, we're absolutely committed to taking a look at that relocation policy and doing some hard work there.
When can we expect something on that?
We'd like to put a working group together, you know, after we get through the budget process. So it's a great, I think, project that we can embark on together this summer.
Okay, and in terms of some other tenant protections, there's 3 landlords on the bad landlords list that's online. 2 of them are already in prison because of criminal actions in other states. So there's 1 who theoretically could suffer the shame that would change their ways. I've learned that there has been no criminal prosecutions of landlords in the last year and no receiverships. And Director Rothschild said that that's because there's no money for receiverships. I thought that the legislature had set aside through bonding, I want to say, some money for that. What's the status of that, if you know?
I don't know. In a brief conversation that I had with Director Rothschild, she did mention that the legislature had set aside some funding. I believe there was a bonding authorization. I'm not sure programmatically where it stands, but I'm happy to look into that and report back. Lawson was the special assistant to the mayor.
That helped. But broadly speaking, what is that person's job duties?
Scheduling. Scheduling is a significant portion of that role. As you know, the mayor there's a lot of demands on the mayor's time. We have to coordinate his schedule with department heads, external events, ensure that he is properly maintaining his schedule, and there's a lot that goes into that, coordinating his schedule with mine and with the office of the chief operating officer as well. So there's a significant portion of that individual's time. There's also, you know, depending upon the person that's in that role, there's an opportunity to this is an advertisement for this position, I guess, by the way. There's an opportunity to take a look at policy issues that all the policy issues that are coming into the mayor's office, to take a look at certain ones that might be of interest and to work on special projects for the mayor. And then certainly, the day-to-day staffing of the mayor at various functions and events.
Let's finish the ad. What's the budgeted salary?
It's between $55,000 and $60,000.
Thanks. I only have two more, and I'll wrap up. Where are we in, you mentioned this in passing, the police chief hiring process? Where I know we're having the meetings that Ms. Johnson mentioned, but in terms of the search, where are we at with that?
Yeah, we have a community advisory group that we've put together that is assisting with the search. We've got our last listening session tomorrow with the nonprofit community that Melinda will be heading up for us. After that, we'll be taking in the input from the community that's been synthesized from these listening sessions, and we have hired a third-party search firm that's bringing in candidates, that would be bringing in candidates based on the results of the feedback that we've received and also the job description, and then we'll begin interviewing.
What's the timeline at this point for getting someone in the position?
We're looking to have things wrapped up by July.
Okay. And last question. This is again more sort of a question for the mayor, but sure you are. The Board of Ed, as you know, had a $24 million shortfall, but distilled that to 6.7 that they said really they didn't want to cut. They couldn't cut.
Yes.
Obviously, that happened after the mayor proposed his budget. If we find that money, is the mayor going to get on board for that, or is he going to veto it?
I think there's this notion that the Board of Ed needs to ask the city for additional funding, and that it's the city council and the mayor's job to find this additional funding. And I think the real answer here is advocacy at the state level. And I was really heartened to see that 5 members of our Board of Education, you as well, and the mayor, went up to the Select Committee on Special Education and advocated for structural changes to our special education system, because the costs keep rising year after year and revenue is not keeping up. And so we have a structural problem that's driven by state policies that are driving these costs here. We know how difficult it is to deliver services to our residents, and so it's really difficult to find additional funding in this budget, and that's why I think it's really critical for the City Council, the Mayor, the Board of Education, all of us to come together and advocate for changes in state policy that will bring additional funding to our district, and will also, have ancillary benefits for other municipalities as well.
I 100% agree with you, but I think we've all been at this long enough to know that it is unwise to trust the state to treat us fairly, especially as regards money. So my question still is, if God forbid the state doesn't come through and we can find in the budget in some reasonable way enough to cover what the Board of Ed has said must be covered, will the mayor support us on that?
I think the mayor is always open to conversations about this budget. That being said, the legislation that's being proposed up at the state level, I do think will yield benefits and allow us to move forward with a budget that remains somewhat closer to what we have now. We are heartened by what we're hearing by our partners at the state capitol. We have a tremendous partner in our Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter, and our 2 state senators, Doug McCrory and John Fonfara, and they are fighting for us. They understand just how difficult this is, and And so, yeah, we're continuing to work there. So I think, the conversation about a veto, I think, would be premature at this point.
As my grandmother used to say, from your mouth to God's ear. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Ms. Johnson, with respects to the calls that you receive through 311, would you say since you started working there, the whole time is the same? Do you feel you get more calls than before? And would you say that 4 operators for 311 is sufficient based on the volume that you receive? And also, what's your hold time on the queue?
I'm sorry, I lost the last part.
What's your hold time on the queue?
So in my time in this position, I've realized that 120,000 people contact 4 individuals on a regular basis. It is not 4 staff members, it is technically 3.5 staff members.
Okay.
And those 4 individuals know more about the city than anybody I've ever met. So as far as volume goes, the volume is consistent. Depending on the season, and I mean by the weather and what is needed, and also financial assistance seasons, because we also get a lot of calls that are information-based and not specific for transferring to a department. That will change up the kinds of calls that we get, but the volume is consistent. Could we expand? There is certainly room to expand, but I think where we are at this time, many 311 operating systems are looking at AI, and the city is currently in conversations about that advancement. That does not replace jobs, but it enhances their ability to respond appropriately. And then in wait times. So it's important to note that 311 is not just the call center. People call, leave messages, so there's a team member dedicated each day just to the answering machine. People forward emails, and so there's a team member dedicated every day just to the emails. Then there are logs that are submitted directly to the Acela platform through the website, and then there are requisitions that are created directly from the 311 app. So I, at this point, do not have the information as to how that has been divided in the last couple of months, but I can get that information.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. My colleagues may be surprised that I have no questions. Yep. You have one, so you're going to ask my question then. Go for it. Assistant Majority Leader Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to follow up on 311, are these positions unionized?
Yes, they're with 1716.
1716, okay. That's what I thought. All 4, even the part-time?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Now I understand why it's not in the budget. So, thank you. See, your director had the answer all along.
There you go.
Thank you, Madam Director, for knowing this. Could you in the future, on maybe on a quarterly basis, send to council the types of calls you're getting in? So, for example, I know wintertime, it's, the place wasn't shoveled, or, summertime, the grass wasn't cut on the city property. So we have an idea what sort of, issues and concerns they are in the streets. I know people call because they went into a pothole. What streets needs to be fixed. So we can glean a lot of information from the type of calls or the emails that you receive. So hopefully not on a quarterly basis it will be too difficult, because I believe your system, you should be able to spit a report out with the types of calls that are coming in.
Yes, we'd be happy to share that with you.
A quarterly basis would be great to share with council. I would appreciate it. And just stop. I know. We have to have a little bit of fun. It's time. You know, by day 9 or 10, we're kind of,
My colleagues are not behaving today at all. At all.
hey, listen. Okay. You know, one of the things I look at here, what is the United Way Rapid Release Funds? Where do we get that from?
So rapid release funds, all of these programs, by the way, have been standing prior to me stepping into this role. So United Way has a pocket of money that they received via private donations that they designate specifically to quality of life support. And those funds are disseminated to our specific municipalities, including Hartford, East Hartford, and a few others in the greater Hartford region. With that money, we are then tasked or asked to be a decision maker, or not a decision maker, to be a point of contact for the application, to make sure to verify that residents that are coming in are actual residents of Hartford, to verify that they are actually in need, and then assist them in completing the application. The application allows them up to $1,000 in occurrence to meet their immediate needs. That money is then placed on a card, which is either a digital card or an actual card for them to use to meet their needs so that United Way can track the kind of use that moves forward.
So you're saying we could refer people
Yes.
to your department, depends on the need?
Yes.
There is, the light bill needs to be, you know, little things like that.
Light bills, groceries, rent, cars are down, so I can't get to work. Any of those things that prohibit a person from being able to live a quality of life.
Oh, we didn't know that. Good.
But let me be clear, it is also limited funding. So-
Yeah, but, you know, I know there's limited funds that are
Yeah.
given to you, but we never knew that those are programs that are offered. Well, you're one of the 9, seriously. We love each other. I know Josh over there. Just
And also, Madam President, those funds and that application is only accessible if they come in person.
If
So
they-
we
and-
do not take over the phone.
Did you know that? Oh, okay. Okay, and the ID program, that is being administered by the library, is that
Yes,
correct?
Yes.
How are we doing with that? Because, I mean, this is a time when, you know, so much upheaval is going on with that community. Are people coming in to get an ID? Is it being utilized well enough?
Yes.
Okay.
So I cannot speak to how widely the information about the program is available, but I do know that the city of Hartford, immediately when we learned of all that was taking place regarding immigration status as a result of what was taking place federally, we came up with a response and we communicated that through our office, ensuring that residents knew that one of the ways that they can hold on to their place and be able to explain that, no, I belong here, I'm from here, I'm here, is to be able to receive a municipal ID. So depending on the individual's economic status, the fee for that ID can be waived, and the city of Hartford assists them in that process of receiving the application, completing the application, and then receiving the ID at our office.
Thank you so very much. Great to hear.
All right. I did not know this department was going to cause so much excitement. So thank you very much, Mr. Wolf, and the rest of. He does have a question. As I was saying, thank you very much for the presentation. I am really looking forward to really listening from Shay. So that's why that's why I keep looking at them like, I really want to listen from Shay. So what are we doing here? So thank you very much for the presentation. We're going to take a 5-minute break, to transition from one department to the other. So please don't move so we can get this going. So thank you very much.
Thank you all.
All right. Thank you to our thousands of viewers through HPA-TV for waiting for our second department. So for our second department, we have our office, the Office of the Chief Operating Officer, and with us we have Shay Ajay. Shay, the floor is yours, and please introduce the great team you have with you alongside yourself for the presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here today. Shay Ajay, Chief Operating Officer. To my left is Paul Drummy, who is the Director of Capital Improvement Projects. To his left is Courtney Jackson, who leads the Promise Zone. To Courtney's left is the Director of Sustainability, Cecilia Drayton. And then to my right is Julian, who leads budgets and management. This is not a fair representation of my entire team, so and behind me is also many members of the COO's office, as well as as well as the department heads would also report to me. So as we get started, I apologize if I sound a little congested today. Certainly not the right day to be congested, so hopefully you can hear me clearly. Okay, perfect. I would first start by saying it is and has been an honor to serve in this role for the past, I believe, 13 months. I started last year, March 22nd, and I can't even imagine that it's been over a year to serve in this role, and it's been exceptionally humbling for me to serve city residents and try to make an impact wherever I can. The mission of the COO's office is to serve as the principal managerial aide to the mayor, oversee day-to-day operations, and coordinate special projects between departments. Apart from, and we'll go into the org chart in the next slide, but apart from the org chart that's represented, the department heads are also a key function of how the city operates, and I, in my role, help to ensure that we are minimizing waste wherever that exists and ensure that communication between all lines are sustained. When we think about the strategy plan for this office, it's to ensure that we're sure that I'm leading the vibrancy and operations for the city. It's to make sure that we're working on the improving performances for each department, and to ensure that there's collaboration between departments. We continue to make sure that as we make decisions, it is based off of and informed by data, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that specifically in relation to the performance manager position. The fourth bullet point speaks to opportunities to optimize operational processes, and that's throughout the city amongst all departments. And the last bullet speaks to culture, ensuring that we have a strong organizational culture. That's something I continue to emphasize and push through I'm going to say organization, but the city, in relation to all of our employees. How do we continue to recognize our employees for their achievements and their devotion to the city and to the city's residents? I know in the human resources budget hearing, they spoke a lot to initiatives that have been started as of this fiscal year, one of which includes employee orientation, which did not exist before. This is a citywide employee orientation. I believe we have gone through 2 iterations of that process. So when an employee starts in the city now, they would go through a 2-3 hour forum where they are onboarded to the city so that they understand respectfully how they impact the city, and they understand how they fit into the mayor's vision and why we're here to serve in the first place. A second initiative was Honors Day, which was also mentioned in the human resources budget, which was a day of celebration. It was a day of commemoration for all city employees, where we had, I believe there were 3 people over the ages who served in the city for more than 40 years. which is quite impressive, honestly. And I walk into the people's offices and different departments, and I still till this day see the certificates that are framed on their desks or up on their walls, which is that is amazing. That's why we're here, to serve. And then, with regard to building the culture, I think a lot focuses on building, our next tier of leadership, and ensuring that we recognize talent and promote because we're recognizing that talent. So as we pivot to the next slide, I want to focus here a little bit because it speaks a lot to, some of the work that I've been trying to focus on, at least certainly in my office, definitely in all the department heads' offices. But with regards to building next level of leadership, I've been sort of working in partnership with the mayor on restructuring, ensuring that when we think of span of control, it's manageable for all, essentially. So when you look at my office, there have been some changes made, and in relation to, I'm first going to start with my former executive assistant, Gabby, who was recently promoted to the senior operations manager role, excuse me. And in this moment, the executive assistant role is vacant, but Gabby has been doing a phenomenal job in terms of not only scheduling, not only administrative tasks, but also managing so many things within City Hall, so many things that are external, and managing many of my business matters appropriately. And not only that, when we talk about culture and building our next level of employees, year after year, Gabby has led the Promise Scholars internship program within the city of Hartford, to which last year we had 3 incredible interns work at the city, one of whom was promoted to work in the COO's office as well as the OVP's office, Early Jump, who's also represented here on the org chart. And then another one of the 3 interns of last year is considering coming back to the city this summer. So that's just absolutely phenomenal. When we think of our internship program specific to the Hartford Promise, this year we'll have 4 additional interns within that same program join the city of Hartford. Additionally, but almost separately, we'll have a Harvard graduate intern start with us in May. Actually, I believe it's next week. And then we'll also have 2 UConn graduates start with us, 2 UConn grad interns start with us in the coming weeks. So I say all of that to say we are also working on just having a robust platform of internship for the city of Hartford. I know we have internship programs that are almost they're formal within respective departments. However, it's not a centralized approach. I'm aware that Counsel department also has an internship. I believe there was an internship proposal for the City Council recently. So I just sort of had to say that. Going on back to the operating, the COO's org chart. What's included here is the Deputy Chief Operating Officer position, which is a new position for the following fiscal year, FY2026, that is currently vacant, of course. And I like to say this is an example of, it's not meant to be what the actual reporting structure will be, but it is an example of where the role could fit. Next on the list is Courtney Jackson, who I mentioned leads the Promise Zone. Going to the Director of Equity and Opportunity, which unfortunately has been vacant for quite some time. However, I like to let this council know that we have had over 70 applications for that position and are almost in the final stages of filling that role. Under that role is Kim Taylor, who's a Senior Admin Assistant. She helps to support the equity and opportunity role, but also the new IG, the new Inspector General, Joseph Lopez, who's been doing an exceptional job managing the CPRB board and ensuring that we can catch up on the backfill of cases that we have. Moving on to the Director of Community Violence Prevention, Siobhan Campbell. Siobhan has done a great job with working with many of our partners, our CBOs, successfully filling out grants to ensure that the department is funded. And we have several slides on OVP office that I can speak to. Under Siobhan is LaCoy Brown, who joined us recently, and Aurelie Jump, who was an intern with us that joined us for this year. Next is our director, and this is a mouthful, so work with me here. Director of Marketing Operations, Special Events, and Special Projects. This is a very important role for us. Just like any one of these roles, this role will take care of marketing internally. Well, I should say, telling the story of Hartford. What is the city of Hartford doing to our residents, to people who are coming into the city, and ensuring we have standards around marketing for social media, ensuring that we have a centralized approach to how we market, which currently doesn't exist. I mean, when you analyze the amount of dollars that are, in my view, currently being wasted, and because we don't have the metrics behind what we're spending on, so these are the things that Shannon is going to be helping us focus on. Along with that, special events was pulled from the Department of DDS. Special events was before housed under the Economic Development Division of DDS. So that role is now going to be housed under Shannon's role. And there are many things that we're working on with special events. I can name sort of 3 themes, one of which is ensuring that the fees that we charge for permitting are not exorbitant and are manageable. And there seems to be practices in place that don't fit with the current ordinance layout. So that's something that's being revisited with council and city council and corporation council, as well as now my office. Another theme there is, a lot of times what we continue to hear is that for the organizations that fill out special permits, special events permits, they continuously get sent a bill of unexpected bill of costs specific to city services. So we are working on just being more proactive, ensuring that, again, there's clear expectations in fees. And then the last of which in special events is theme is working on automated practices to help with the process of filling out applications to reduce the administrative burden on the person who fills out or takes in the application. And that person, which is the special events coordinator, recent promotion, Leslie Sakal, she was a executive assistant in the mayor's office and has been doing a phenomenal job managing special events. And again, the concerns with special events was rightful. So in our view, in the mayor's office view, we needed to have more resources managed in the special events. So now we have a director, we have a coordinator, and we also have administrative hours from DDS to help support this role. Next on the list, Director of Capital Projects and Operations. To my left is Paul Drummy. Paul has been doing an exceptional job managing our capital assets. I don't need to belabor any points that were made because you already had your time with Paul, who was up here recently. Under him is a CIP support role, which is a new role that was passed for this budget, given the amount of assets that we manage, given the amount of new initiatives as well that we're going to be going through for this coming fiscal year, especially as it relates to Hartford HPS and other assets. Under Paul is the CIP management analyst, Chris Amaya, who has been working extremely hard in CIP's office, helping to find dollars that may not have be apparent or were lost in accounts, and working with many of our vendors to ensure that we are utilizing technologies to help our office. Director of Sustainability, Cecilia Drayton. Cecilia is smiling, which is great. Cecilia has been working heavily on sustainability practices throughout the city on behalf of the city, and has the new assistant, Zoe Mantro, and currently a vacant position of Sustainability Development Associate. We have successfully filled a performance management role, Kitty Tyrell, who came from the finance office as the former role, process improvement person. Kitty has been helping to advance many of the CO's initiative and is helping to lead operational efficiencies within the role. There are a couple of slides on Kitty's management. Under Kitty is Nick Hale, who is a Yukon employee and has been with us for, I want to say, close to 8 months. 8 months now. He's been exceptional in his role. Next on the list is the Director of Arts, Culture, and Entertainment. I know many of you have had a chance to meet Tanisha Dugan. She has been meeting with, I would say, almost everyone in the city, ensuring that we have an understanding of the voice for artists that are out there, individual and organizations, and we are ensuring that the city is participating in leading efforts as it relates to art within the city of Hartford. The last on the list is Melinda Johnson, and we have gone through the community engagement department. There are some metrics that answers your question, Councilwoman Rosado, in this slide at the end. But under Melinda are the 4 FTEs or 3.5 FTEs to which Melinda was referring to. Okay, I took that slide. I had to take a lot of time on that slide, just given the amount of work that weren't necessarily correlated with each other that each person takes care of, but these next slides should flow more smoothly. So CIP, again, Paul has given a presentation, so I'll go through this relatively quickly. Again, Paul's division helps to take care of the management of the 5-year capital program, and that certainly includes city parks, schools, infrastructure, transportation facilities, helps to lead the efforts to onboard program managers for Sanchez and Batchelder schools. There are a lot of work done on making sure that we have program management software systems in place, so much to where we have, Paul and Chris have been leading efforts to work with DDS to ensure that our the database that we use to track projects is updated and interactive. So if you, as the council members, or if the administration would like to receive quick updates on projects that are occurring within the city, you can go to an app, just like we can go to an app now, that allows us to look at updates for city assets. We continue to focus on interdepartmental synergy and operational efficiencies. The next slide is the sustainability slide that Cecilia helps to lead, and Cecilia has been leading so many efforts within her role. First of which partnered with our energy broker to secure lower energy rates, resulting in an estimated more than 700,000 in avoided costs for the city and the Board of Education. That's a very big deal. I mean, there's actually more news to come on revenue generation as it relates to sustainability, which I'm not at liberty yet, unfortunately, to speak to within this meeting, but I also do like to walk people to a cliff to find things out more. The next point is Cecilia has helped to conclude the Solar for All campaign to help residents reduce their energy cost burden in response to the supply rate increases. So in 2023, more than 1,000 residents have enrolled, who have saved an average of $1,700 annually. Cecilia's office has also helped to secure $150,000 in CDBG funding to facilitate and direct installation of energy-efficient equipment upgrades in resident homes, and partnered with CROG as the lead in the MSA to develop regional priority climate action plan that unified the climate initiatives of 38 cities. Next slide. So in the role of performance management, again, is to, this was a vacant, it was filled by Corey Mills, as you all know, but then was vacant for a little bit of time, and we tapped Kitty, who expressed interest, and Kitty has been doing a proactive job of ensuring that we can work on how we tell our metrics for each department, and find different opportunities to optimize processes. One process that isn't actually listed is something we started this year, which is a mid-year report out for every department head within the city of Hartford, and that allowed for a 2-hour schedule. It was a 2-hour scheduled time with myself and the mayor's team, along with the respective department, to speak to the strategies that they look to employ, the obstacles that they are facing as it relates to their specific departments, to their budgets, but it truly allowed for more insight as to a more structured, formal insight as to what each department is facing. It was almost like a prep for a budget hearing, and that's something that's going to be for the following fiscal year that we're going to be following up on, to continue that practice actually in more of a cadence format, so that we can ensure that the voices of our teams are being heard and the obstacles that they're facing are being tackled. So Kitty, I say all of that to say Kitty helped to put that together. So, you know, along with that is revising processes, revising workflows. We spoke to 311 practices, speaking to many departments, many divisions with respect to KPIs. The second bullet point, ensuring new and existing technology softwares and ensure new and existing technology software systems include performance measurement goals and metrics. You know, something our team is working with MHIS on is our software procurement practices, and there are opportunities to be more efficient with how we procure software, with regard to potential redundancies given different departments subscribing to their own respective software. Enhance technology software capabilities and optimize functionality and upgrades. and host annual graduate interns, which I spoke to a little earlier. We have a fellow who will be starting with us, who is coming from Harvard, and this fellow is actually going to be focusing on the work that we're doing with East Hartford, and that work is working on shared positions and shared services with both municipalities. This is something that was announced at the end of last year. So there's more to come on that. Next slide is Kitty has been helping to facilitate different initiatives and plans. Again, transitioning special events from DDS to COO's office, the media report outs, which I mentioned, the shared task force, which I just mentioned, the fleet working group process. I mean, we talked about fleet in the last presentation. It's not just DPW, there's also ladders that take 2 years to order and cost $2 million. These are expensive assets, and we're working on the process of collecting and allocating dollars appropriately for that. Process improvement projects for payroll, procurement, budget, DDS. I'll speak to this. I'll say, Kitty has been helping with the payroll practices process, ensuring that we limit errors that may occur, and ensuring that we have a process in place to mitigate. The last point on this slide is the Bloomberg Harvard Mayors Cities Initiative Collaboration Track, which contains a team of 7, and I would say this work is in collaboration with Bloomberg Philanthropies and Harvard University, where we are working with our corporate partners, 3 of our large corporate partners, the Hartford Travelers and Hartford Healthcare, to ensure that we can reduce the amount of unemployment that currently exists within the city of Hartford. This city of Hartford is one of the highest unemployed cities in the state of Connecticut, and we have been working in close partnership with TWP to gather data, and in the next weeks we will be coming out with some new information on how we are strategizing to tackle unemployment in collaboration with many efforts that are being done by other organizations. Okay, we transition to the OVP's office. Siobhan Campbell has been doing a great job on leading many efforts. I believe there are 2 slides here to represent his office, which is actually limiting, quite honestly. The hospital-based violence intervention program, which hosted, a conference to highlight the success of the collaborative. This is, again, a relationship that exists between 3 trauma centers, St. Francis, Hartford Hospital, and CCMC, Connecticut Medical Center, Children's Medical Center, and local CBOs, to ensure that there is a comprehensive care approach to victims of gun violence and their families, and that's follow-up practices, whether it's certainly at the hospital, within the home. This is a phenomenal program that we continue to fund within the next fiscal year to support these practices. Midnight basketball was already mentioned. We plan to continue moving forward with these practices. Listening sessions was mentioned, so I won't belabor the point, along with the chief of police process. Neighborhood ambassador, 14 commercial corridors and 26 traffic islands are being cleaned currently with this team. Continued success with both employment and housing navigation and support. And the last within this bullet is ongoing funding support through the NIP bottle surcharge funds and cannabis tax. CVIPI, or Community Violence Intervention and Prevention Initiative. We have over 25 credible messengers who are trained by, we have a great partnership with Capital, who are trained by and graduated by Capital Campus of the CT State Communities College. Credible messengers are life coaches hired and matched to individuals at risk of repeat gun violence offenses. The continued support of the HPD Capital City Crime Center to improve crime solvability rates. Again, C4 space is truly exceptional. Myself, the mayor, and chief of police and chief of staff today actually took a visit to C4 with the mayor of Providence, Rhode Island, Brett Smiley and his team. They were very interested in doing something similar in that city because they have heard that the Hartford C4 is one of the top in the nation, and that's something to be proud of. If you've ever been in this space, you will see the true capability and the true use of technology to help solve a crime. And it's not only crime as well, it's not only crime related to police, it's also illegal dumping that it currently happens. And C4 partners with many of our departments, not only PD but also DPW and others as well. And the last point is improving camera integration for Hartford residents and businesses to participate in creating a safer city. The Reentry Welcome Program, Reentry Welcome Center, in 2025, the current year, reported they enrolled 24 Hartford residents to provide them basic needs and support and additional support. And their ongoing one-stop services for reentering citizens seeking support with housing, employment, basic needs, and supportive case management services. Okay. Again, the 311 system, and we talked about why already. The metrics are being presented within this office, and the relationship that 311 and community engagement has with not only the mayor's office but also the CEO's office. But here you can see the specific distribution of work orders by departments, and the largest of which is Public Works, and I'm sure I don't think I need to explain why that's the case. In the appendix, however, Councilwoman Rosado, you did ask a few questions related to total call volumes, which does remain constant, and then you asked a question about hold times, which has gone down, and that information is in the appendix. We don't need to flip that slide. But the next slide is actually one of the last slides, and it speaks to the change in the general fund budget, which is mostly explained by the new positions. I mentioned the deputy operating officer role. I mentioned the marketing special events role as well, and the capital projects role. And then we have a new grant-funded director of arts, culture, and entertainment position that was added, but most of it is grant-funded, so that remains unchanged. The last slide speaks to gender, race, and ethnicity in residents within the office. 68% of the office is city residents. You can see the race distribution and the gender distribution amongst the office as well. So with that, I will take any questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. I'm going to start this round of questions from my left, so I'll open the floor for Councilman Josh Mixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, all of you, the team, for the presentation. Just a few questions. The deputy COO position, you said that's new, so that would start in July.
That's correct.
What's the salary for that?
It will be at the range of the division director, so that's 120 to 140, I believe.
What's budgeted overall, like 200 including benefits?
Yeah, there's a 51% or 53% fringe that we use to allocate that, so.
So it's a, I mean, I can look it up, but it's
That's about
200.
accurate, yeah.
Okay. And this is really a question I should have asked MHIS, but I couldn't get to that hearing. But you were talking a lot about the Excella system as it relates to 311 and sort of the tracking of calls. And I have asked other folks for years, when will we be at a point where we, the public, not us, but can see aggregate data about, for example, aggregate data that's in that system, like housing complaints, where those are coming from, the speed that they're getting resolved at? Because I know that's been promised, and Judith Rothschild said she was sort of waiting for MHIS, and it seems like you're kind of on top of that whole thing. So do you have any idea when we will get that kind of data?
Yeah, I don't think that, I mean, the data is, it's not like the data does not exist, right? It exists, right? We are, when a work order is put in, it's put in by subdivisions of the issue in itself. I think we're currently working, what I didn't mention is we're currently working on several different dashboards to help with reporting. Some include, I did mention the DDS dashboard. Another is a human resources dashboard to help support the divisions with understanding the time to fill and vacancies, so they're not having weekly reports or monthly reports with HR analysts. That is a dashboard that can be added to the list. I think that we now have the app that allows for the user to understand that their work order has been put in, and that helps keep the end user, from the city side, accountable on timelines to solve quickly for the work order in itself. But there's not a dashboard that shows comprehensive data as of yet, but that could certainly be added to the list. I don't know, I can't answer when that'll be complete right now, because I have a lot of things in the queue, but that can be added to the list.
Understood. I appreciate it. And then the last question, there is an ordinance, I think from 2014, that says that all city vehicles should have GPS units in them. We have never been close to compliant with that ordinance. I was in sort of long negotiations with your predecessor about how we could maybe just get to some accountability for the take-home vehicles. This was after the former police chief ran his car up on a guardrail going very fast for reasons unknown. And any progress on that?
Yeah, I spoke about promotions a little earlier, and we have a contract with Samsara right now that is that we can utilize, and we can use their software system to help with GPS tracking. So we are going to be working on utilizing GPS function of the equipment that we currently have for city vehicles. It's a 3-year contract that started, I believe, a year and a half ago. I would like for that to be completed by the end of this year. That's my goal.
When you say for that to be in place, I mean, I think your predecessor had told me that we were at about 50%.
Well, so new vehicles have GPS, but we have old vehicles as well that do not have GPS function capabilities. I don't know the percentage of which ones have or don't have GPS capabilities, but what I'm saying though is the contract that we have with Samsara and the equipment that we have from them would allow us to utilize their GPS capabilities within all city vehicles.
So by the end of this year, you think?
That's my plan.
All right, thank you.
All right. No, I want to go. I'm going to ask a question. I have a question, but first of all, congratulations to Gabi, well-deserved promotion. And to Leslie as well. So here's a question about special events, my favorite topic. So among the many concerns that have been brought up about special events, the one that was the biggest one lately has been the surprise fees and surprise, hey, this is how much it is after the fact, which we've talked about that before. So in this thinking of how we are going to redesign that process, will these estimates that will be provided to different organizations that will be doing special events, would that come from the special events office, or would that be something that that person will have to gather from DPW, police department, fire department, or will you have enough data to produce those estimates internally as opposed to have to wait for 3 different departments to provide them?
Yeah, that's a fair question. No, I was, my vision is to ensure that, when somebody fills out an application right now, they sometimes fields are left out of the application, and that delays the process of pushing through. I think I think we have an opportunity to ensure that the technology that we use allows for, when you fill out an application, all that's required is filled out before it goes to the next phase. A part of that, I think that we can then have that application push out to the respective departments so that there's an understanding of the need for police, DPW, fire, HHS to help estimate quotes. It would be the office that's sending out the estimated quote. It would be the office of the special event sending out the estimated quote before an event, before the event occurs in itself, so they're not receiving it after the event has taken place.
So that's definitely progress, but the reason I asked the question is because if you're going to redesign it and revamp it, then let's just be as efficient as possible. Let's just get it done the best way we can. This is the great opportunity to do so. Yeah. It still sounds that there will still be some dependency from these other departments, whether you do it automatically, whether it's like a technology automated kind of system that will push that out to the other departments for them to then provide the information, and then this office will then provide it to the organization. That seems to be better than what it is today, yeah. But I think that maybe there's still more room for make it even more efficient. And the reason I say that is because the process takes way too long, and I know that now the idea is for it not to take that long, and for approvals to go a little bit quicker, and for organizations to know the information and get approvals for dates, and so they could do the work that they have to do. But it seems to me that when departments start depending on other departments so much to be able to achieve one goal, there's a lot of things that could fall through the cracks. There's a lot of opportunities for one department not to provide it as quick as the other, for the other one, and we have to be prepared to create that coalition of effort in that particular system to make sure that everything moves, at the speed that's reasonable and that's to your expectation. That's fair. Right? So if the special events person has the authority to be able to push and not have to rely on you that will make it much better. That's fair. And ultimately at the end, the idea is for the residents and for the customer to actually feel like the process works and not get caught up on this person hasn't given me the information, so I cannot give you this, and then, because that's what we hear all the time, and residents don't want to hear that. So as you think about this vision and you start putting it together, think about these opportunities to make it even better for the customers and the organizations that will be participating.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I know Shannon is in the room listening in, who will be leading these efforts along with me. So I also would be happy to take more of your comments in terms of how we can make our process better, especially given all council members hear about comments, and unfortunately, right now, opportunities for us to improve our process.
Thank you. Assistant Majority Leader Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Shay and team, for your presentation. Going to the organizational chart, you got a lot of departments under you. How are you managing?
I think, you know, of course, this is representing the office of the CEO and not the department heads as well, but
Which I was surprised you didn't include that in your presentation.
I didn't want us to be here for 3 hours. That's all. I think I would say I manage. I'll speak to the team that's in place. If we didn't have a good team in place, this would be personally a much harder job. And I'm not saying the job's easy. That's not the point I'm trying to get across. I think my point is everyone who has been appointed to these roles and have been hired by either myself or the mayor have proven themselves to be in these roles. We have a great team here, and I give a lot of respect to the devotion that each person has, because it's not a 9-to-5 job, not for any of us. Maybe for some folks that work for the city, but there are other roles that are not 9-to-5, and that's how I'd answer that. It's really a strong, competent team that is devoted to making sure they can solve for the issue that's at hand, deal with the fires that come up, and also think strategically about the future.
All right, thank you for that. So just for clarification, the other department heads fall under you?
Yes, through the mayor's office, through the mayor falls under me.
So what I'm saying, fire, police, procurement, finance?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, so my days are my days are structured with, you know, whether it's one-on-ones with the department heads or one-on-ones with my team, the CEO's office, along with external meetings and fires. Not literal, metaphorical fires.
So where was I at? Okay. What's the mindset regarding shifting some of the departments when they were first created in the mayor's office under COO's office, such as community violence prevention was previous administration was under the mayor's office. Now it's been shifted over to the COO's office. And community engagement, so that's no longer in the mayor's office?
So you know, community engagement is sort of, that may not be the best example for your question, only because you know, operationally it sits under my office, and to the question I was asked earlier, you know, I think the question was why is it split, and we have 4 union employee, 3.5 FTE union employees that sit under my office. However, the director and the manager sits under the mayor's office, but it's a dotted line relationship to which, you know, 311 has a relationship not only with my office, but also the mayor's office, given 311 is the heir to what's being heard in the city, and that needs to be relayed, of course, to the mayor's office. However, operationally, if a report is for a pothole or illegal dumping is put in through the 311 office, it'll be the departments under my office that take care of it. You had an example of Office of Violence
Office
Prevention,
of Community Violence Prevention, yeah.
And your question is why is it under
Yes.
the mayor's office?
Well, it was created under the mayor's office, and now it's been shifted to the COO's office. I was just trying to understand the rationale. Was it a budgeting thing, or?
Well, I mean, in my view, in my view, the OVP office works heavily with HPD. Not to say that should make them in my office. I guess I'm unsure how to answer that question right now, so I'd have to get back to you. Because you're asking why is it not in the mayor's office and why is it within my office?
So I see the chatter in the back, so I think behind you, they're trying to say something, your team.
Okay.
Sorry, Councilman, if I can. I was just reviewing the previous fiscal year presentation. Community violence prevention was introduced last fiscal year. Previously, it was community safety and wellness, which was the director, Patricia McIntosh. But from my recollection, since FY23, it's always been in CEO's office. There was a period where it was, being introduced, where there was some consulting work being done, but the actual office has always been in the CEO's office.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's why Gabby was promoted.
Okay, so with the community engagement, it's still, so it's in actuality, it's split, correct?
Yes.
So it's half and half.
The budget is split, and Melinda reports in a dotted line relationship to my office.
Okay, so back to the org chart, you have a deputy COO position. What's going to be that person's responsibility?
That's a great question. I would like to point out, and I don't know if I said this, but this is not the this is not a final relationship that the deputy COO's office will have with the represented offices on this chart.
Mm-hmm.
However, the role is going to be helpful in terms of managing like special projects that come up and ensuring that they're finished and completed. It's also going to be helpful with managing the scope of span of control with respect to the amount of departments that I currently have reporting directly to me. And that could be also inclusive of the department heads, again, which are not represented in this org chart. Managing, a lot of times we get messages from public safety, whether it's 2 a.m. Weekend of issues that occur, whether it's related to violence that unfortunately happens within the community, or it's operational issues at the public safety center. There needs to be somebody that can be in person and handle the situation and support with many of the departments.
Okay. Timeline on the equity and opportunity position. I asked that because I have a fondness for that particular department since I helped create it and draft the ordinance. So we'll love to see when that position is going to be filled.
Yeah. More than 70 applications. We are dwindling down now to the final set of folks who are qualified for the role, who we see as qualified for the role. We are going to be having interviews in the coming weeks, so I hope that this position is in line with closer to the fiscal year, end of the fiscal year, closer to the end of this fiscal year.
Okay.
That would be great. Right now, Kim has been helping to manage many of the responsibilities that fall under that, such as sexual harassment training, for instance, that's in the ordinance. And Joe has been supportive of like his role within what's supposed to fall specifically for IG under the director. And then, HR, Human Resources, is also supportive of like EEO complaints that come through, whether they're managing it or having a vendor support that.
Okay. I'd like to pick your brain. What's your thoughts on back in I think since 2010, the Office of Human Relations was disbanded, and some of the responsibilities lie in the Office of Equity and Opportunity. But what's your thoughts on rebranding Equity and Opportunity to be that Office of Human Relations like it used to be in the city?
As in the title change is what you're referring to, or is it responsibility change?
Title change, not per se, but more so of that core responsibility that it used to have, where contractors and the residents would be able to go to the office to report improper workplace practices as far as how many people are supposed to be working on the job that are Hartford residents, making sure that the proper audits are done and things of that nature, so that if there's a complaint, they know where they can go to, and then the system can work with this up. Because we do have a Commission of Human Relations, but we don't have that true Office of Human Relations anymore.
I would like to talk to you further about the responsibilities that fell to the Human Relations Department in 2011 and before. But I see a lot of correlation to what you mentioned, so I certainly, it's worth consideration.
Okay. All right. I've taken enough time. I just want to say the gentleman to your left, Mr. Drummy, excellent man. I've worked very closely with him. I know Mr. Jackson from a long time. Ms. Dighton has done a good work, but also you've had stop it. You have some phenomenal hires too that I'm starting to work closely with. Ms. Duggan, she is a rock star already, and thank you for putting us in contact with my office, and I look forward to working with the rest of your team. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bilodeau.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you to you and your entire team for all the good work that you do. So on this last slide on the 311 call history, are abandoned calls included in average hold time?
Question is, are abandoned calls included in average hold time?
Yeah, I'm guessing that if you've been on hold for quite a long time, you hang up.
It's a fair question.
You call back, so.
Let me get back to you on that. Melinda would be the perfect person to answer, but she's unfortunately not present, so we can confirm that before I give an answer.
Sure, and I just noticed that the average hold time seems to have increased, so is there a specific reason for that?
Did you say increase?
Increase, yep. And does hold time mean, and just because I've had my own experience with this, does that mean they haven't spoke to the person's waiting for the person to pick up their call?
That's right, because it's 3.5 FTEs, but you said increase referring to 23 to 24, I assume, not 24 to 25?
Right, the last two columns, sir.
So the average hold time from FY24 to FY25 has reduced. It's gone down by more than 20 seconds, and I know that.
Well, that year, but I mean, if you're looking from 23 to 24, it went up significantly.
Okay, so you're referring to FY23 to 24.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's where it started, so.
Okay.
I mean, and 25 is still higher than 23, so.
Right. Perhaps, I don't want to speculate for 23 or 24. It could be related to hiring or vacancies that may have existed then. I'm speculating right now, so that's not a factual answer. The question is, why did that increase? And I can find that out, as well as is the average hold time included in abandoned calls. Excuse me, it's abandoned calls included in average hold time.
Thank you so much. And my last question is, can you tell me about the energy efficient equipment upgrades? Do all residents qualify for that? Is that in place now?
Yeah.
How is that going to roll out if it isn't?
I'd like to pass that to Cecilia.
Hi. So this is in place now. This is a ground-up approach where I'm partnering with contractors that are vetted by Eversource right now. So what it covers is furnaces, air source heat pumps, gas condensing water heaters, boilers, furnaces, electrical panel upgrades, triple pane windows, and also insulation. It's first come, first served. They have to be Hartford residents, and there is an income table that they have to fall within. This is open to residents who own single-family homes, but we also work with property owners who own multifamily homes, such as North Hartford Partnership, who has 3 Perfect Sixes that we are working with now to provide air source heat pumps for. This is through HUD, so I could not necessarily advertise broadly, so I decided a ground-up approach was better to reach the residents themselves, because the contractors are able to identify which houses are in need of the equipment when they go to resorize the home.
Thank you for that answer.
If you have anyone in mind, please send them over.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Well, you know, they say the best for last, but I have no questions. You all answered and asked my questions. So I just want to say thank you to your team, great team, Mr. Drummy, Cecilia, and Gabriela. But, you know, I want to thank you, Shay, for your commitment, because, and also to our Chief of Staff, James Wolf. You know, we went through what I called some difficult, hard times, you know, when we did relocation, especially on the Sherbrooke project, and there were a lot of late nights, phone calls that, you know, a lot of people don't know that, right? But you guys always answered the phone, and eventually we got to where we needed to be. So I wanted to thank you both and your team for the commitment. Thank you. City of Hartford is very lucky to have you guys.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you.
Okay. Council President Surgeon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Mr. Chief Operating Officer. Welcome. I haven't seen you in a while.
I saw you yesterday.
That's right.
Good evening. I'm surprised you didn't go first, Council President.
Oh, no. You know, I decided about a couple weeks ago that, you know, for the next month, 30 days, it's going to be a happy face. But I think I may have to renege on my promise to myself, seeing that our Chief of Staff is staring at me really much so.
Let's go.
Okay, so my notes to your presentation, great presentation, to be very honest with you. It's a lot of information you shared with us, really a lot of information. So I'm going to try to look at, when you were making your presentation, looking at my notes. You talk about the deputy position. Think you really need it, because one of the things I was very taken aback when I looked at the org chart. There is a change of position, or the change of oversight, where your office is taking on the more special projects, more division, and I'm kind of the old school days of the Chief Operating Officer was in charge of the operation of the city, you know, with your 11 departments. So, you know, apparently things are changing, and so I didn't see on your org chart your 11 department, which basically is the basic operation of the Chief Operating Officer. And what I see more is more special projects, special divisions that are under your office, which indicates to me, I don't care if you work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's a lot to manage. You have a public works, public safety, police, fire, public works, and these are some critical positions in your office currently. You have our CIP department. These are some critical infrastructure that you certainly definitely need a deputy to maintain the operation of the city. That would be my recommendation to the mayor and to yourself, is to get that position filled as soon as possible. You know, you're taking on a lot of responsibility under your office. I was very pleased to see the marketing and special events, but I do know that that's going to take a lot of work from all the different complaints there are out there regarding special events. when I take a look at Director of Violence Prevention, with all the cuts coming down from the federal government as far as violence prevention is concerned, we're getting ready to go into the summer. You know, how are we going to transfer, and the person, Mr. Siobhan works with the police department, you know, fire and everybody else, how we're going to shift a lot of our youth services as the summer is coming along. So those are my concern for you to, for management of it. Also, a couple of things which I'm limited with my knowledge base, and I couldn't figure out what is your MPA, no, I'm sorry, the Director of Office of Performance Management. What is that?
Yeah, can I start with just addressing your comments initially?
Sure.
Which, you know, I think the first time I was here, you recommended the deputy, actually, this time last year. And I was very purposeful with trying to use the first year, just diving more into the weeds as much as I could, understanding where we needed an additional approach, an additional resource, similar to actually John Harden's approach with filling his deputy role. So thank you for saying that. I do appreciate your comments with regard to right-sizing span of control. The office, the performance management office, was initially occupied by Corey Mills. He was the performance manager, and he specialized in ensuring that data was used before decisions were made. So that position is now being taken by Catherine Tyrell. Catherine goes by Kitty Tyrell. We're lucky to have her in the role, quite honestly, because she is very proactive in terms of managing projects, but also ensuring that we are utilizing data. And she came from, her former role was the lean process manager role that was under procurement and under finance. And I don't know if Kitty knows this yet, but that role is going to be transitioned under to the performance manager role because that is the right place for it to be.
You know, one of the things we have in our city is the communication regarding different departments. So when you talked about all these different, what page is that on? Page 6, and all the different softwares and everything else. If Kitty's going to undertake this position, one of the things we have is our software doesn't talk to everybody in this city. And that's been a major problem. You have the assessor's office who assess property, who doesn't talk with the DDS, with the zoning and everybody else. So you have this new Visio and Power and whatever else all these software packages are. Are they going to be able to talk to each other? You know, that's one of our problems. Everybody, all departments have these different software packages. They don't talk and communicate with each other. And the departments do need to support each other, you know, if we are to do the operation of the city properly.
Yeah, I think you are completely right. I think that, you know, every department has right now sort of the freedom to purchase software within their respective departments. And Sharice is leading projects along with Kitty to help ensure that, one, if we are purchasing a software system, it is, we can achieve scale, economies of scale with the purchase in itself. The second, to your point, is how can the software that we contract, the contracts that we have with software companies, how can they integrate with one another? I think that's something we are taking on as well, indirectly, but I think there could be more focus on that.
It's imperative that that happens.
Yeah.
And if we're going to utilize Kitty, we certainly can put that one more. Who is Kitty anyway? Where is she?
Kitty?
Oh, hello, Kitty. Nice to meet you. All right.
I wanted everyone to sit up here, but there weren't enough
Oh.
chairs, so.
Well, you didn't introduce the rest of your department to us, except, people that's sitting behind you. If you would, let us know who they are.
Okay. Yes, sure. Siobhan, would you like to stand up, please? Siobhan leads our Office of Violence Prevention. Tanisha Dugan, who leads our Arts, Culture, and Entertainment Office. We have Shannon Frost, who leads our Special Events, Marketing Operations, and Special Projects. We have Chris Amaya, who sits under the CIP office, who helps support analytically what we're doing in our office. We have Gabby, who is our new senior, okay, extra operations. Kitty, who just stood up. Kim Taylor, who sits under the E&O division that helps support CPRB. Would you like for me to? Okay.
No, we're good.
Okay.
It's just that, everyone knows, I think, pretty much the sustainability. Of course, our, smart dresser here. Paul, so everybody knows, our smart dresser. So we're really good. Those are some of the issues I have. Also, your team of 7. One of the things when you interviewed for the position a year ago, you talk about data-driven. And we're into a year later. How is that data-driven decisions, how are you doing so far? Are you being able to collect the data, and has it helped you with the decision and the operation of the city?
Yeah, I think it's insane how much data that we have. It's like mind-boggling, quite honestly. I think that in certain respects, it takes too long, unfortunately, to receive some datas because some of the software, to your point, doesn't talk to each other. For instance, when you look at like vacancies, as an example, that exists currently, and Julian is smiling, of course, because he knows where I'm going with this. It takes a little bit of time for us to integrate the data that Munis tracks, that I'll say it this way, that HR tracks and that budget tracks. So it takes slightly long because of the systems, and some position controls aren't turned on in Munis. I hope you are following me a bit, but sometimes it takes a little too long for us to utilize the data to the best of our capabilities. And when I mentioned the human resources dashboard, something that we're working on is ensuring that the database that sits behind it iterates more frequently, so we can have the most appropriate and most up-to-date, accurate data.
Got you. All right. Just one last question. You didn't talk about your team of 7 and you're integrating, jobs, City of Hartford residents with large corporation.
Yeah.
And how is that working out? One of the complaints, we have lots of our kids, believe it or not, are graduating from college and returning home.
Yeah.
And hate to lose them, who are moving out of the city and moving someplace else because they're not being hired. Because if we looked at your human resource department, you're asking for all these 3 years experience and so on and so forth. If we're going to lose our youth, if we are not replenishing them by taking a look at this. So, yes, how are you doing with your team of 7? How is that working out?
Yeah, I think, well, first I'll say that this initiative is it's great for the city of Hartford. And it hasn't been, our story, which is why Shannon is here, it hasn't been shared as of yet. But the city of Hartford was selected as one of 38 cities to participate in this initiative across the world. So we have other cities such as New Hut, New Zealand, Rosario, Argentina, like all over the world that's participating in this initiative. The mayor is a part of this Bloomberg's initiative, which is a year-long program. Out of that program, we had a choice to choose a project to have Bloomberg Philanthropies and Harvard support. So they're supporting us with academic resources and potentially financial resources. And we have been going through this. And we selected the project of reducing unemployment in the city of Hartford. That's our question. That's our scope. That's our project. And we have such strong corporate partners within the city of Hartford. So we selected, I believe I mentioned their names earlier, 3 of the larger corporate partners as a pilot. We wanted to include more, of course, but as a pilot to work through how we can create a platform that helps to reduce the obstacles that our current residents face in the unemployment space. Again, this is in collaboration with CWP, so it's not only related to, when you think of obstacles, it could be the platform in itself as an obstacle. It could be, resumes, training, education as obstacles. So we're working in partnership with Capital Workforce Partners. We started this project, I want to say earlier this year. I actually don't remember, but I want to say earlier this year. And every week we were meeting for at least 1 to 2 hours, and iterating on it. And we are making progress because we're using CWP as the backbone because they're providing us data, realistic data on where we are experiencing unemployment deficiencies. So we understand that, within our demographic, it's 16-year-olds to 24-year-olds that make up a majority of the unemployment that exists within the city. And that is our focus, that's our entry point, that's our target. Last week the mayor met with representatives from those organizations, along with that team of 7. I only mentioned 3, I apologize. A team of 7 also includes City of Hartford representatives. So myself as the liaison to Bloomberg and Harvard, Kitty Tyrell, who is the performance manager. Then we have Melinda Johnson as the heir of the community. So we're working right now. She's working right now on going to NRZs, collecting their voice, collecting what they understand as obstacles in unemployment, and working with our training organizations as well. And then the 7th person is Taniqua Hughley, who comes from the United Way, and also represents her small business, which is one that helps train children in the city of Hartford.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. And I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm going to ask a question. I will certainly emphasize my comment again. I do hope you fill that deputy position, as soon as possible, because I think you've done a great job in the past year. I just want to make sure that you continue and strengthen yourself and your department for the next fiscal year. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. That concludes our presentation for this part of the evening, and we're going to take a 2-3 minute break to transition to our next and last department, Corporation Counsel. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Now we have our third and last department for the evening. We have now with us the Corporation Counsel, and with us tonight we have our Corporation Counsel, Jonathan Harding. Jonathan Harding, the floor is yours, and please introduce your team that came alongside yourself today. Thank you.
Certainly. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Madam President, and Councilmember Mictum. To my left is Senior Assistant Corporation Counsel Natalie Fiola-Guerreri, and to her left is Senior Assistant Corporation Counsel Jonathan Beeman. And it's my pleasure to be with you all again and to talk about the work of the Office of the Corporation Counsel. It's been another year, a full, almost a year and a half now that I've had a chance to work in the office and observe the work of the office. I generally insist on being included on many of the emails and communications that my team will send with city leadership, mostly because I just want to know a lot, as much as possible, the work of the office. And what I've learned, can you hear me? And what I've learned over the last year and a half is there's an incredible amount of work that comes through our office. And there's a lot of work that the office does that doesn't really have a stat line, so to speak, right? It's not a case or a specific agreement. The office provides a tremendous amount of informal guidance to all of our client departments, boards, commissions, the council, and other elected officials. It's really remarkable. This third slide is our organizational chart. As you will no doubt note, there are a couple of vacancies on this organizational chart, notably the Deputy Corporation Counsel position. Before Council President gets to me on that, the job's posted, I didn't waste any time, and I intend to fill it as quickly as possible. I think there are two things that the org chart, however, doesn't say, and one of those is that we have an incredible team of lawyers and probably a combined maybe 150 years probably of legal experience in our office. The other thing the org chart doesn't say is that our Assistant Corporation Counsel, Jim Del Visco, will be retiring next Friday. And that'll be a huge loss to the department and to the city, but I like to think of it in a more positive rather than a negative note, and that we've had the good fortune of having Jim working with us for 11 years now, and even prior to my coming here, I was unknowingly the beneficiary of his hard work. So, in fact, he was working tonight. That's why he wasn't able to be here covering another matter. So, thank you to Jim. So some of the highlights from the last year, obviously this could be probably 20 slides. There were a number of ordinances that came through the office, notably Sports and Rec and the recognition of the Hartford Land Bank Authority. But there are a number of other ordinances that we've worked on with members of council as well as the mayor's office. The city also negotiated a really important MOU with the MDC to resolve a longstanding dispute regarding the compliance with our MS4 stormwater permit. Our attorneys litigate in pretty much any forum you can imagine on behalf of the city and its citizens. And in addition, there are countless agreements, MOUs, real estate development documents that our attorneys are turning out on what seems like impossible timelines at times. In terms of strategic initiatives, I think I mentioned last time, just addressing the balance of in-house versus outside counsel. I will say we have significantly reduced our reliance on outside counsel and really leaned on the expertise of the folks to my left and the folks behind me. Obviously, we're constantly monitoring case law, changes in regulation to ensure that the city policies meet best practices, and our focus on reducing judgments and settlements. And I know I agonize over settlements and judgments, and our attorneys do an excellent job of negotiating settlements and fighting and litigating in any forum necessary to protect the city. And I think last year there were a couple of a few cases that really disproportionately affected our overall settlement outlook. And the other thing I will note is that we are going to be just implementing our case management system. We just had our kickoff last week, and I'm really looking forward to that. And we're going to try and ramp that up in a very short timeline, and hopefully it allow us to provide more data to how we work on matters and how work flows through the office in a more statistically available way. Because I know last year I really didn't have a good means of providing lists and numbers and breakdowns, and at this time I still don't have that, but I am optimistic that next year it'll be a different story. As you can see, budget comparison for us year over year, a modest increase primarily due to payroll, and I think there is a little bit of first year implementation costs for the software. As I mentioned before, we work in a number of forums, whether it's in court, litigating, providing legal guidance and consultation, which is a huge component of the office, real estate matters, form and legality review, compliance and enforcement. I mean, really, our folks support the city in every way we can, in ways big and small. This is a slide with the demographic breakout of the office for council's review. Slide. And if I can just really quickly take a moment to just say how proud I am of the folks in my office, our staff, our attorneys. They are incredibly hardworking. They work late nights, they work weekends, they're covering committee matters, boards, commission meetings, up preparing for depositions, drafting contracts over the weekend. I'm really grateful for all the work that they do. And I think that, and I'm also very grateful because I told them we'd probably go on a little bit earlier today than we did, and I'm just grateful for them to show their support for the office and for the city. And so, thank you all, and I'll take any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, thank you for all of you sticking through 2 other presentations. It's not easy. But you're not the first department to do it. So other departments have done something similar, and it's just this year has been amazing to see so many departments supporting their leadership throughout, all these days, the whole month. So I feel very empowered and energized by the energy that I've been receiving and getting from the different departments supporting, their leadership. So that's great. So thank you very much for sticking through this evening. Now it's been, 8 o'clock. So it's 2.5 hours since we started. So thank you very much. Any questions? Council President Surgeon.
I only have one question. Why is it attorneys are not smiling? Oh, now we see it. Thank you very much. I appreciate the smiles. I thought attorneys don't smile. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
We had that conversation earlier when you guys were all sitting over there, and I told Council President, none of them are smiling. Like, what's going on? Like, did we do something wrong? And so, but thank you. Any questions, Councilman Mitchum?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As an attorney, I think I can say that the ice grill is an important part of our professional conduct. Tanisha Duggan just told me that I never smile up here, and I always smile out there, so I appreciate y'all for being serious. Actually, I wanted to stay by saying that I appreciate you guys in terms of the level of being informed and prepared that you bring every time we have executive session, every time we need information from you. I assume that also reflects the work of the folks whom I don't see in those sessions, who support you all. Particularly, like yesterday I had a question for Attorney Fiola Guerreri, and she turned it around very, very fast and very thoughtfully. So I do appreciate the level of unsmiling seriousness that you bring to your work. I have only one question. On slide 5, you talk about I think it was on there, and I've asked about this before anyway, the idea that a lot of times when we have lawsuits that require settlements, there's some policy lesson in them that we could act on. And I think we would benefit from having that written down and given to us as an official recommendation, because, you know, we have day jobs, we're distractible, and so it's, I think, hard for us sometimes to, you know, remember that 2 months ago there was a settlement that should have prompted us to change something about how the city operates. Yeah, I think we would benefit from regular sort of little written follow-ups that are, say, like, part of why we had this exposure or part of why this went this way is because of X. I mean, this is what I had asked Attorney Fiorelli about yesterday in terms of, like, what are all the laws and things making it this way, to know if there was anything we could change. So I would appreciate, I think we would all appreciate that in terms of us hopefully reducing the city's liability for various things in the future. But that's all I got. Thank you.
Well, one of the advantages of being last is that there's a potential that you don't get too many questions. But that's not going to stop us from sending you an email with 20 questions. So just keep your phone next to you. Just keep an eye on it. You may get an email with 20 questions. So, but it seems like there are no other questions. So we're going to make this short and sweet. So thank you very much all for being here. Thank you for your presentation. And that will conclude our evening that will conclude our budget hearings for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you all.
See, Jonathan, it was worth it.